Annie is the chair of what we've already referred to, Australian Citizen Science Association, nationally. And she's going to tell us a bit about ACSA and also sort of the national structures. And Annie, there's not slides? No. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I didn't need you. There you go.
Just make sure it's share the screen.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Slides, yeah.
But there are slides.
Oh, there's no slides?
Yeah, yeah.
That's fine.
No, go. Sorry.
At the right height. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, well, I realized Annie was short one.
Good morning, everyone. Great to be here, and I don't have any slides, that's true, so hopefully I can keep myself on track. I want to say thank you to Uncle Rod for that really warm welcome to country. It was fantastic. And I know he mentioned a couple of times about shared learning and shared experience, and that's what we're here for today, but it's also what citizen science is all about, isn't it? So that was a wonderful introduction. I'm from Walbunja country on the south coast of New South Wales, and pay my respects to all elders past, present and emerging. So yes, chair of the Australian Citizen Science Association, which has been around for about 10 years now. We have the previous chair here as well, Erin Rogers. So in the room we have the history of ACSA, and hopefully we've got the future too. Who knows? That would be nice to think about. So yeah, about 10 years, formed. I think the first conference was held here in Adelaide. So Adelaide's been at the forefront of citizen science for a long time, hasn't it? And I really congratulate the South Australian Government and also the Department of Environment and Water for the proactive stance that they've taken with citizen science and the support that they're providing. I have to tell you, I actually worked for the department between 2010 and 2014 on Eyre Peninsula, and citizen science wasn't really talked about then. We had one fledgling citizen science project over there, and geez, it was hard to get any traction, I can tell you. We had one ecologist for all of Eyre Peninsula, so that was from the West Australian border over to Whyalla. So I think things have really improved since that, and that was 10 years ago that I left there. So ACSA is the representative body for citizen science in Australia, and one of our major roles is to advocate at all levels for citizen science. And we do that at a national level, but we also do that through our chapters. So we have, as I said, a very active chapter here in South Australia. We also have a chapter in Western Australia, Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. And the ACT chapter is right in the process of being reinvigorated, so watch that space. That will be happening very soon. We actually have a committee, it just needs to be formally endorsed. So that's pretty exciting. We're getting stronger coverage across the country. We're also involved at an international level, of course, and we sit on the Citizen Science Global Partnerships Board, and there's some great stuff happening in the international space. There's increasing recognition for citizen science there as well. Through the United Nations Environment Program, they are funding, or on the cusp of funding, some pretty significant projects that ACSA will be involved in. Right, so we are seeing citizen science picked up, in some of the national strategies and plans in recent years. For example, the Threatened Species Action Plan, the Biosecurity Plan, Biosecurity Action Plan, and it was included in the recommendations of the State of the Environment report a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, it wasn't included in the I think it's called Australia's Science and Research Priorities, or National Science and Research Priorities, which was released just a few months ago. And I think that was really a missed opportunity that citizen science wasn't in there. Also, what wasn't included really was open science. So UNESCO handed down a recommendation 2 years ago now, I think it was, about opening science to society. So the new strategy or plan priorities talked about opening access to science information, but not actually opening science to society. So we still, it's a bit mixed, I suppose. We still have a bit of a way to go in terms of advocacy. Despite the inclusion of citizen science in some of these plans, there's really no investment in citizen science at that kind of level. So we still have a bit of work to do, and I think it just comes back to the lack of understanding of what citizen science is, really. It's just seen as something that's going to happen kind of organically, but I think we all in this room and online know that that's not the case. It takes a lot of investment, a lot of work over a sustained amount of time. It's certainly cost effective, but it's not free by any stretch of the imagination. So just going back to that, I think we still have a number of perceptions, misconceptions, barriers, whatever you'd like to say, to address in order to advance citizen science in this country and beyond. One of those is the perception that citizen science is not really science. It's community science or it's participatory science, but it doesn't have that same level of respect, as if you like, as what I would just term professional science, for want of a better term. So that's a barrier that we have to sort of break through, I suppose. And another perception is that citizen science is less valid than professional science, that the data can't be fully trusted. And I think we know that that's simply not the case. There are errors in any data sets, and I think that's been proven, that the volume of errors or the margin of error, whatever it might be in citizen science data sets, are really no different to any other data sets. And also with the evolution of AI and technology, the margins of error keep coming down. And we know that citizen science information on many platforms is validated by experts. So I think we are going to be talking about the use of citizen science information and data sets a bit later today, but it is really an important issue because we can certainly make better use of it. The citizen science community and the science community in general could make better use of the information that is generated. And there's a hell of a lot of it, as we know. So I guess what can we do to help shift some of these perceptions and to try to move science into a more equitable footing? We can make sure that there is actually science in citizen science. So I was at a workshop just 2 days ago, which was a marine biosecurity workshop, and there was a presentation there about Pacific sea stars, and it was touted as a citizen science project because members of the community are out there harvesting these masses of Pacific sea stars. It was an incredible video. The seafloor was just covered in these things. And people were out there actually removing them, physically removing them. Now, to me, that was it's an equivalent of land care under the sea, really. It's kind of like weeding, just physically removing these organisms. So I asked the question, well, what's the science component here? What's the learning that's come out of it? And I didn't really receive a sufficient response to that. So I think just being careful about what science is involved in the project. And look, land care is fantastic. I'm a land carer myself, but it's not science, right? Generally, it's not science. So I think not including science in what you're calling a citizen science project actually feeds into that perception that it's not real science. So that's one thing. I think advocacy is the responsibility of all of us. And I think, we do a fantastic job in advocating within our own community, and we are in a bit of a bubble, I would say. So I'm not really sure about outside of the citizen science community what people think. I'm saying, I think that people don't understand citizen science. Well, that's my perception. So I'm not sure what the perceptions of others is. But I think we need to be advocating in circles outside of citizen science, and that's certainly a role for ACSA. We do try to break into those different areas like the biosecurity area or wherever it may be. So that's really important. But I would love to see some leadership from the professional science community. I think that does happen, but I think it would be a very powerful statement for research institutions to come out and advocate for citizen science. That can be done in different ways. It can be done through publications, presentations, etc. But it could also be done through developing citizen science strategies. I mean, wouldn't it be fabulous? I mean, you have one in South Australia, and the states, some other states have had them in the past as well. But wouldn't it be great for a university to have a citizen science strategy, or CSIRO to have a citizen science strategy? I think that would really provide a stamp of endorsement for citizen science. Another area where we could improve is to try to demonstrate impact of our citizen science projects. So be thinking about that when in the design phase of a project. How are we going to demonstrate impact? What are we trying to achieve here, and how are we going to measure that? Now, I know that's incredibly difficult to do, and all projects struggle to do that. It takes a bit of time and effort, and often impacts are not obvious until several years down the track. But it is possible, I would hope, to demonstrate a pathway to impact. So, having that sort of logical framework, if you like, or that theory of change included in your project where you can. Another one, and Jasmine prompted me to think about this earlier in a conversation, but what's the collective impact of all of the projects in South Australia? What impact are they having? And this is going to be very important to try to collate that information and analyse it if you want to continue the funding. So for the next election, whenever that's coming around, you'd be able to demonstrate, look, these are all the projects we've done under this strategy, and under your funding, this is how much more we could do, and this is the impact we're having, and how important it is for community. So I think those are some of the things that we can be thinking about. I think citizen science, it is continuing to grow at an incredibly rapid rate. And I think there's far more acceptance and recognition of it than there was once, but we still have a way to go in terms of with the decision makers and the policy makers, I think. So that's an area of focus for us.